Hi, I'm Michael Perry, also known as Mr. Plant Geek. Today I'm going to show you how to plant bulbs, but even more exciting than that, I'm going to show you how to plant them lasagna style. So you'll be able to fit more bulbs in, which is the best news we ever heard, but also you'll have successional blooming as well. You can create amazing displays, and in this container we're going to have 3 separate layers of bulbs. So first up, use a good quality compost. I've got the peat-free compost from Primrose, which has got a great texture. So texture, first of all, is very important with a compost. Of course, we need nutrients in there as well, but drainage is very important, especially when we're planting bulbs. So if you have got any small stones or grit, gravel, mix a little bit of that into the soil before you start. Bulbs, they don't like to have a wet bottom, so make sure that they're dry at all times. Best news of all is though, after you plant them, you won't need to water them again until the spring when the foliage comes through the soil. Best news I heard. Right, so what is this I hear you say? This is root grow. This is mycorrhizal fungi, and this is really, really useful when you're planting bulbs, bare roots, in fact, fruit trees, bigger shrubs outdoors as well. So we're going to mix that into the soil as we plant up. So I'm going to mix that whole packet into my peat-free compost here. Da, da, da. Okay, there we go. And dispose of my rubbish responsibly. So I'm just going to mix that into our base layer of our bulb collection. Now, with lasagna planting, we're going to plant separate layers of bulbs. So we're going to have the meat, the sauce, and then on top we're going to have the cheese. So maybe a few plants on the top. So the biggest bulbs go at the bottom. So when you're planting a bulb, you plant them at 3 times their own depth. So 1, 2, 3. So that is how deep our daffodils will be. So basically 1, 2, 3. So we know our base layer is going to be around here. So we're going to put those daffodils in, first of all, making sure we plant them the right way up. Always plant with the shoot upwards. Smaller bulbs, it doesn't matter too much if you get them the wrong way up because they'll find a way. But daffodils, you need to help them out a bit because they are big boys. So plant those in firmly, kind of in a natural way. A lot of people like to just throw the bulbs onto the ground outdoors or into containers to get that kind of naturalistic look. So that is your first layer of lasagna. Next, we're going to add some sauce, which is the soil. So a small layer of soil to then bring us up to the level where we can then plant our tulip bulbs into this display. Okay, so when buying bulbs, make sure they're good quality, the largest size if possible, because that means you'll get flowers in that first season, but also look for any signs of rotting or kind of soft areas too. So make sure they're nice and firm, looking pretty healthy. So these tulips, sometimes some of the sheath falls off. That's not a big deal, don't worry about it. So we're going to plant those again the right way up across our container. It doesn't matter too much if you get them on top of the daffodils. They'll actually find a way. The shoots will find a way around those bulbs. So if you can avoid it, please do. So we're going to plant those tulips into this container. Oh gosh, I'm already excited about how this is going to look in the spring. I love spring bulbs because you plant them in the autumn and you basically then just forget about them. And then in the spring, you've got this amazing display that you've kind of planned, but just abandoned for a while, which is kind of cool. It's a nice surprise for spring. So another layer of soil on top. And then what I'm going to plant in is this collection that I got from Primrose. Now this is amazing. This is actually Happy Bee collection, and this is a range of bulbs that are perfect for bees and butterflies. So especially interesting for those early season pollinators, so a lot of those early bees. Now these all tend to be slightly small bulbs, so I'm going to use these as my final layer of the lasagna. So just going to get a selection of those. It's a mixture of alliums, little crocus as well, and put those on top of the soil. They're obviously very small bulbs, so I need to do a little bit of work to make sure they're the right way up. But like we said, it doesn't matter too much if they're not. So let's get them all distributed across the surface of the soil. Okay, there you go. So you can see our final layer of lasagna is all in place. And then all we need to do is put a bit more soil on top of there. And then we are good to go. And honestly, bulbs have got all the goodness they need inside them. So even in a small bulb, you've already got the baby leaf, the baby flower in there. So it's super, super easy. If you're a beginner, then bulbs are the perfect place to start. So there we are. We filled our container with soil. You won't need to water that now. Leave it. Just leave it. Just forget about it. Put it around the back of the garage. Put it somewhere forgotten. It can be in frost as well. These bulbs will take the cold. All you need to do is look out around kind of end of February, March. You'll start to see some shoots coming through the soil. That's when you start to water the container more often. And bear in mind that as those bulbs grow, there's quite a few different plants in one container. So your container might dry out a little bit quicker than you're used to. So make sure that you water these well during the spring. But I can't wait to see what display we're going to have here. We've got lovely dark flowered tulips, we've got pinkish daffodils, and then we've got that bee collection on the top. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to put this in place, and maybe I'll put a few plants on the top as well, just to finish off with that cheese topping. Thank you for joining me today. See you soon.